I wanted to go ahead and just open up the conversation with PayPal, a company that all of our listeners are familiar with. I think it's a stock that you and I both own, or at least I own it. Do you own shares of PayPal, Matt?
I did. I actually sold it. I had eBay, so I acquired PayPal shares through eBay.
Very good.
And I got rid of it a couple years ago to buy Square, which turned out to be a pretty good move.
Not a bad move at all. Not a bad move at all. Well,
it's tough to argue with that one.
Yeah, I thankfully own both, and I think that when you look at the quarter PayPal turned in, you got to feel really good about what they're doing, right? I mean, this is really all about the dollars that are flowing through that network, and total payment volume for the company was up 24% to $143 billion. Engagement, which is essentially the number of transactions on a trailing 12-month basis, engagement was up. Mobile payment volume was $57 billion. So really, I think my takeaway from the quarter was that they're doing a lot of really good things. I mean, there's a reason why the stock spiked on this release. I think generally speaking, you have to be pretty optimistic. What's your take, Matt?
Yeah, this quarter, in my mind, was all about Venmo. You mentioned payment volume was up 24%. Venmo's payment volume was up 78%.
Yep.
So that's really what's driving PayPal higher. And not only that, but we mentioned in an episode a week or two ago that they're trying to start to monetize Venmo, and they announced that 1 in 4 members can be monetized right now. And that's up from, I think, 17% last quarter and much less than that last year. So not only is Venmo growing, but they finally think they could turn it into a significant revenue stream, which is a lot sooner than anyone really thought that was going to happen. Is my takeaway on this quarter.
Yeah, I think I was really looking for any and all language regarding Venmo that I could find. I think you're right. That's the forward-looking picture with this company, and I think it's worth noting. We talk a lot about Venmo. You and I spoke last week about the fee change on the instant access side of the business, and we have to kind of keep an eye on how consumers are going to feel about that ultimately. I mean, for me, it was worth noting that while the results for Venmo were good, $17 billion of that $143 billion was through the Venmo network, which was significant. They said that 24% of users are now participating in a monetizable action. That's all great news, but I think what could get lost in the conversation is the fact that PayPal on its own, sans Venmo, is still doing a really good job. So I think, to me as an investor, that's an even better outlook, really, because you're looking at not only the power of the PayPal platform, but also the Venmo platform. Other platforms like Zoom, for example. I mean, these guys have a lot of different ways to make it work. And from an investor's perspective, that's a really attractive part of this business.
Yeah, definitely. PayPal's growing really well on its own, which is impressive considering how big PayPal is. And I mean, PayPal has become just kind of part of our language, like PayPal me. Like everybody uses PayPal, it seems, but they're somehow still growing very, very rapidly.
Yeah, I think I'm going to hang on to my shares, Matt. I'm going to keep my Square shares too, and probably, like we say every week, if we can shut up for long enough, I'm sure we probably would both add to our positions. But maybe after earnings season dies down, we'll have a chance.